This morning's New Testament lesson comes from Revelation, chapter 21, verses 1 through 6, which can be found on page 259 in your pew Bibles. Let us together listen for the voice of the Lord. Then I saw a new heaven and a new earth. For the first heaven and the first earth had passed away, and the sea was no more. And I saw the holy city, the new Jerusalem, coming down out of heaven, prepared as a bride adorned for her husband. And I heard a loud voice from the throne saying, "See, the home of God is among mortals. God will dwell with them as their God. They will be God's peoples, and God will be with them. God will wipe every tear from their eyes. Death will be no more. Mourning and crying and pain will be no more, for the first things have passed away." And the one who was seated on the throne said, "See, I am making all things new." Also he said, "Write this, for these words are trustworthy and true." Then he said to me, "It is done. I am the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end. To the thirsty, I will give water as a gift from the spring of the water of life." The word of the Lord. Thanks be to God. Now is the time. A poem of sorts. What do you want to be when you grow up? Is the question frequently asked of nearly every child, beginning when they are barely able to complete sentences, are old enough to understand that there is such a thing as growing up. But we ask them the question anyway, what do you want to be when you grow up? The question often elicits some unusual and imaginative responses from every childlike mind, including everything from machines to animals to characters of a fictitious kind. Without much thought, each one of us can likely recall our very own answers to this ubiquitous question, to this ever-present query. Perhaps when asked, it was you who said, "What I want to be is a ballerina, a doctor, even a veterinarian, or a paleontologist, a baseball star, or even a marine biologist, a basketball player, an astronaut, a firefighter extraordinaire." Or maybe you were one who desired to be some strange, impossible combination of 2 or 3 or 4 improbable amalgamations. I want to be a teacher and a train engineer and a Lego designer. You know, a Lego teach-ineer. I'm going to be a police officer, a movie star, and a royal knight who discovers the cure for a disease so rare. They will call me Dame Dr. Officer Royal Movie Star. You could be whatever, whoever you wanted to be, and who would ever tell you that you were misguided or living in a fantasy? When I had my chance to respond to the question as I was growing up, I didn't have my sights set on lofty schemes. Mine was a more realistic and grounded dream. Mine was an answer with a clear path ahead, and I had only one thing alone to say in reply. With confidence in my voice and certainty in my eye, I would tell anyone who was interested in hearing exactly what I had to say. I am going to be Batman. That's who I will be one day. There was no way of being deterred from my dream of becoming none other than the Caped Crusader, complete with his black bat-eared cowl, spike-adorned gauntlets, fully loaded utility belt, and his ever-present cape. In order to practice my own becoming, I would spend my afternoons donning a bath towel around my neck, jumping from couch to chair and swinging my fists at invisible foes, flailing in the air, intensely training both body and mind in hopes that I might become none other than the one and the only Dark Knight, fighting the likes of the Riddler, the Joker, Poison Ivy with each pow, zap, and bam. That's who I was going to be. What a fantastic fantasy. But we all know such a dream was only doomed to come crashing down around my overconfident, towel-draped shoulders. For it wouldn't be long until I would finally realize there was no way for my deepest desire to ever become a lived reality. I mean, honestly, everyone knows it just isn't a possibility. For Batman, Bruce Wayne isn't really a person who ever lived in a town like mine. If I was ever going to actually become my deepest dream, I would have to move to Gotham. And I wasn't sure where that would be. And even if the logistics had somehow miraculously worked themselves out, my answer to the question really wasn't honest. And likely neither was yours. For after all, for every child who has ever been asked, the real answer to the question, what do you want to be when you grow up, is, I want to be grown up. What every little kid desires in the depths of their little heart is one universal thing. They long to be older. For every child seems to wish that time would hurry on and speed on by so they could get on with being older and doing all of the exciting things that come with a more advanced age, a more mature chronological stage. But what they didn't know then, and what they don't know now, and what we don't like to acknowledge even today, in the depths of our own childlike hearts in our own grown-up way, is that time is a tricky thing for all of us bound by this chronology. It hurries and simultaneously creeps at its own unpredictable speed. Sometimes it seems that yesterday was 10 long years ago, and 10 years only a moment. Tomorrow feels as though it may never come, yet somehow arrives much, much too early for some. How is it possible, I ask, for the same amount of time to move slow and to move fast at the same exact time? How can it possibly be? All of that happened only a moment ago. And wasn't it just yesterday that we were all children? Yes, time. Time is a slippery thing, for even though our clocks and calendars remind us precisely what day it is, what second, what minute, what hour, we have a tendency to dwell in 3 moments concurrently. We never really leave where we have been, don't ever fully arrive where we might be, and yet no one really knows how. We also exist simultaneously in this moment we call now. The past, it chases us, never letting us completely go. The future, it haunts us, a mirage that we never fully know, and both taint this very moment and often overshadow it with regrets over days gone by and all of their difficult history, as well as with the worries of our yet-to-bes and all of their uncertainties. Yes, time is a crafty thing. Today, as our clocks and our calendars have told us that a new year has begun, here's something to be reminded of this day, day number 1. And every day hereafter, something we must diligently work to never forget as we travel through time and space. We are never alone on our journey, no matter where we find ourselves health or illness, joy or difficulty, flourishing or loss, victory or adversity. There is a promise which dwells in each one of us, even though often unaware. A promise that brings comfort in our present, past, and future. It is a promise found in the God who is named the one who is, who was, and who is yet to come, the Alpha and the Omega, every beginning, middle, and end. God has promised to meet us in all three of these moments in time in which we find our hearts and our minds, in all of our present, past, and future tenses. For all time, God promises to be the one who not only is, but is also the one who was, and the one who will yet be. God present, the mystery, fully dwelling with us, dwelling within me, within you, in each and every moment, making all things new and remaking us all over again. And now, since this promise is indeed true, there's no need to be afraid of this thing called time. We have never been, nor will we ever be, alone as it passes by, no matter how fast or how slow. For the one who is time accompanies us back then, right now, and whenever, and in whatever might be yet to come. God meets us in all of our moments, and in every single one of our days, those that have already been, and those that have yet to be. In all of our I wish I would have's, and why did I ever's. Each and every I'm sorry, and in our hope that it happens, and I'm afraid that it actually will. Every worry, every regret, and every single concern are held by the one who never abandons us and will never ever turn. God with us for every single season and for every matter under heaven. So, my friends, the one who created time and yet somehow transcends it is present here and now. No matter where here is and no matter where now may be, nothing can separate us from that kind of fierce, ever-present love and commitment. This presence, this love means this: there is no time where God isn't. There is no circumstance void of divine presence. There is no sin too deep to forgive. There is no past that hasn't already been renewed, redeemed, with a chance to begin again. There is no today where we are alone, and there is no tomorrow without Christ in it. There is here. There is just this moment. The time is now. Now is the time, and God is present within it. So in this season of new beginnings, of resolutions and renewed commitments, rest and find comfort in the promise of the divine who is present. And remember, you are not a product of your time, of mistakes and regrets, of worries or anxiety. You are a beautiful creation of the one who promises to meet you right here, in the right now, no matter where or when that may be. The author of all time has named you for all time, the beloved, the forgiven, the accepted, and the cherished, the one and the only glorious you, who has ever only been one time in the history of all time. You live in present tense, for now is your time. This is the moment, tomorrow can be too, to remember you are not alone. So live. Live now as if it's true. In this moment and all its promise. For now is the time to begin again and for you to be you. May it be so. May it forever be true. Amen.